quarterbacks, I should say. But there are some teams that made decisions that make you think, okay, well, if they didn't take this guy at that pick, what does that mean? For example, Pittsburgh Steelers waited till late in the draft to draft a quarterback, and they drafted Will Howard out of Ohio State. One would think he's not going to be their starting quarterback. In addition, we've been asking the question, when will the Vikings tell us who QB1 is by addressing QB2?
We found out.
We found out. They made a trade with Seattle, and they got Sam Howell, a former starting quarterback for Washington, a starting quarterback that 2 years ago, CeCe, you thought could actually make a run with Washington and make the playoffs. So it's not a joke of a guy like, oh, my God, they brought this guy. No. This guy is
Sam Howell
legit.
can play.
Yeah, he's a legit QB2, which means J.J. McCarthy is QB1. I think that's pretty clear. So, all right, so Vikings filled up their quarterback room. Steelers drafted Will Howard, passed on any of the first-round quarterbacks. Does the draft tell you that Aaron Rodgers is going to Pittsburgh?
No, because Pittsburgh still has the out of being able to trade for Kirk Cousins if they so choose. I don't know what's going on with the Aaron Rodgers saga and when we're going to actually find out. But if you're Pittsburgh, you got to be getting a little squirrely there in terms of your quarterback room, not having a guy that you have proof of concept can win in this league at a high level. Because your team is in a window to compete right now based on the age of the veterans that you have, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know that you can feel good about the prospects of the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025 when you got the likes of Mason Rudolph and Will Howard and Skylar Thompson as your quarterback room. I don't know how you can feel good about that.
There are bad QB rooms out there. Oh.
Yeah. Which leads me to believe that they still think Aaron Rodgers is a viable option for them. And what this weekend told us and the way that the cards fell with the NFL draft is that the Pittsburgh Steelers are still his best dance partner. And that other places were not that interested in him or they elected to go elsewhere. And I still don't know what he's waiting for. And maybe we'll get news soon. But if he was waiting for the draft to see if the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted a quarterback at 21 and that would influence his decision whether or not to go there, he has his answer. So as all these other quarterback rooms have been getting filled out and we've narrowed our scope as to who the best option for him is, and it's obviously Pittsburgh, I don't know what he's waiting for.
But is Rodgers waiting for the clock to run out on the Pittsburgh situation?
Yes. Well, where is he going to go? See, this is the problem. Where is he going to go then?
So you're suggesting you don't think he wants to go there and he wants them to make the move so he doesn't look like the bad guy?
Yes.
But to Evan's point then, because I can totally see why you would arrive at that point. Yeah. All of the tea leaves are pointing us in that direction. But the question remains then what is your other option?
Can I tell you the other option?
Tell me.
Well, it's not there now, but it will be.
Tell me.
If history tells us anything, there will be a contender that has a significant injury at the quarterback position. Why? Because we see it every single year. It happens every year like clockwork. You point around to all of these teams that fancy themselves as a contender, they're going to miss their starting quarterback for a significant portion of the season, and that will be Rodgers' opportunity if he wants to step in.
I mean, let's be real. CeCe and I were told that this is an option, how you phrased it. CeCe and I were at the Thunder Trio. You were doing, I think you were on ESPN 1000 at the time in Chicago, and we were snooping. We were snooping around.
I love that. Snoop away.
Yeah, we were snooping.
Good work.
And the information we got was not reporting this, hunch. Yeah, he wouldn't mind if the Steelers closed the door so he doesn't have to. He could sign there today for all we know. That idea was floated out at both of us. Now, simultaneously, that idea was floated at us while the Minnesota preference was floated at us, which now I think we got to take off the board. The question becomes, how long are the Steelers going to wait? Because if you think about this, let's play out two scenarios. Let's play out that Rodgers is not going to give them an answer because he wants them to make a move. Okay. That means they're going to have to go get Kirk Cousins, and that means Rodgers is basically going to be the wait-and-see Roger Clemens midway through the season signs with the Yankees again kind of thing. That's option A. Option B is what happens if Rodgers does sign with the Steelers. Where does that leave Cousins? Where does he go? Is there any option for any? Does he go to the Saints? Because the whole Derek Carr drama, which no one has seemingly been able to figure out. Because I think Tyler Shuck is going to start day one for them. 40th pick in the draft. Matt Miller sat with us on Friday and said, Sharpe that in. They love this guy. 26-year-old out of Louisville. I think that he's the day one starter for the New Orleans Saints. So where does Cousins go? If Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh, where does that leave Cousins? Does he just stay in Atlanta?
I mean, I'm sure Cousins is fine with that. He's going to be the highest paid backup in NFL history.
And maybe they do the same thing like they were
$40 million
with Rodgers.
guarantee with a full no trade clause. I'm sure Kirk Cousins is sitting there just fine.
So maybe they do the same kind of thing. We'll wait for someone to get hurt. You'll actually have a leg up on Rodgers because you're practicing with a team every day.
Yeah.
And then we flip you. I mean, I don't know. Like this QB carousel, the fact that it's still going and the fact that Pittsburgh is still a part of it and still hasn't had their answer is unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable.
But to me, there is no doubt in my mind that somebody's going to have to deal with an injury at the quarterback position that's going to be significant early on in the season, and that gives Aaron Rodgers an opportunity to step in and be the hero.
Okay, so let's put feet to the fire on this.
It's crazy as it sounds. He would rather wait on the unknown as opposed to rocking with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's an indictment on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
But why? I'm just curious. Why does he not want to go?
So what did we hear? Cold, like literally cold weather. That was something we were told.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he played in Green Bay and New York.
Right. I'm 41.
It's different now. Yeah.
I'm not 21, 31, whatever it is. I'm not suggesting he wouldn't sign with the cold weather team. You're asking what would be the turnoff, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing we were told is he doesn't think, I don't want to say this as if we're reporting, the other scuttlebutt at the Tundra Trio amongst people that know him is that he doesn't think that Pittsburgh's Super Bowl contender. And he may not be wrong, by the way.
I don't think he is.
I'm not trying to side with one side or another, but that reasoning is logical for Rodgers in that case. I just wish he would communicate that to the Steelers and say, I'm good, right? He could sign with the Steelers by the end of the show. But feet to the fire on this, and I know Pat has something quickly. Feet to the fire on this. So right now, the starting oh, God, Pat, don't jump in on this. We've already seen this go wrong with you and CeCe. The starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers next year will be?
Mason Rudolph. Right now, it's Mason Rudolph.
I think based on this, I think it's going to be Kirk Cousins. But
okay.
Like I said, I think Cousins is on the table. But right now, based on their quarterback room, it's going to be Mason Rudolph.
So let's make a prediction.
So we're saying it's not Aaron Rodgers. Is what we're getting at. Whether it's Rudolph or Cousins, it's not Rodgers.
It feels like the Steelers think they have him, and it feels like Rodgers is waiting for them to not have him.
They can't think they have him.
So
they can't think they got him in the bag.
So and then Rodgers is on a team next year if he chooses to play. That is a team that we have. He could be on the Kansas City Chiefs for all we know, because in the God forbid scenario that Patrick Mahomes gets hurt, that's where he's signing with the Super Bowl contender where they have an injured quarterback. As of now,
the way you're saying it right now, I agree with. If it's the Steelers or the field for Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to go with the field. I think it's more likely that he signs with another team than he does with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And the field doesn't have to be a QB needy team in the moment. The field could be an unexpected QB needy team. Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're saying.
I'm getting to the point where I'm wondering if he's just going to retire. If all of this drama was for nothing. Because if Pittsburgh is not an option for him, he doesn't think they're a contender and he doesn't want to play there, does he really want to play at all? Because if this is your best option to be a QB1 and you don't want to take it, what's your desire really to play?
Again, well, I think he wanted to go to Minnesota. If the Minnesota Vikings said, hey, we're ready to sign, do you want to sign? He would have signed.
I agree.
I think that would have been done. So I do think there's interest for Rodgers to play, but he's only going to step into the exact right situation for him. And it's clear that he doesn't view Pittsburgh as that because he's in no hurry to sign.
If you narrow it down that way, if it would have been narrowed down from the beginning that way, if Aaron Rodgers will play football, if he believes his team could win a Super Bowl, it's so much simpler than what we've been doing, what he's been doing, allowing us to do. And I know he said very little. He only said what he said on McAfee, but, it makes sense. All right, CeCe, people can go watch him play next year, if he does play, by way of Vivid Seats.
Yeah, I mean, either you could watch Aaron Rodgers.
Ta thích ăn cá. Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn làm vòng. Và hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là quả dừa. Bây giờ mình sẽ bắt đầu làm nha.
Đây là giống mình đây. Cái gì vậy? Nào. Đi nha. Đỏ thì có thiết kế.
Đấy nhìn ngon phết.
Mày này chưa? Này chưa cao chưa?
Cái cúc kia đổ cất
Người
rồi.
đã để đọc xem
Em cất vào trong đấy. Chị không thấy. Không, em để trong đấy. Trên. Thấy không? À ừ.
Gì? Đưa cái gì? Không ra phải lớn lắm.
Trời ơi, bọn học sinh lớp 10 trường Bình á. Tất đi xe bíp với lại đi xe máy, xe điện. Không đứa nào đi nhờ. Không thì chúng nó không đi nhờ nhau hết. Con Huyền nó đi được nhờ với ai, hôm nay bắt ra đưa đón rồi.
Không được đón á?
Đấy, không nhờ được bạn về đấy.
Làm lòng hơi gì vậy? Không có đón Huyền á?
Huyền nó nhát hơn, không thì bắt nó về với thằng Thành.
Đúng rồi,
Bảo Huyền về với Thành đi.
kìa đã ném vào đây. Lại mở thành.
Đúng rồi. Nghe không?
Huyền nó nhát, nó không dám chung xe.
Nhưng mà mày cứ ngồi đi.
Nhưng mà
Có khi nó cũng dám ngồi đấy nhỉ?
Cứ bảo nó.
Có với Thành thôi.
Mấy giờ về?
Về cùng nhau 5 giờ.
Thế.
nó đánh mạnh rồi. Ở đây mày cứ thử nhắn cả hai đi là
Gọi điện.
không thằng này mà đồng ý thì cắt cho con kia là được. Đi. Chạy cái mày mày.
Có quen không?
Cái này của ai?
Mày á.
Điều.
Còn ai nữa?
Không phải vậy. Vậy đó.
Thế mà quen để lúc khác.
Nó hôn cái tất cả cái này nó gì? Nó hôn chít phát. Hôn tiếng kêu mà. Chít phát.
Gọi Thành tắt luôn. Giờ đợi nó nhắn tin.
Đi giải tắt. Mày chơi rồi.
Ý là gọi cho nó biết luôn đó.
Đang. Cái này thằng ra cho cậu.
Ăn ngọt quá rồi. Giờ kép cỏ ấy.
Đúng rồi. Ngọt đấy chưa?
Em biết nó ngọt rồi, em không cho cái cô đâu. Em không cho cô dừa đâu. Em ăn.
Cái gì?
Cậu.
Không ra.
Uống tiếp.
Không có con phố mà.
Đấy.
Lúc thì anh nấu thì ăn bao nhiêu chân trâu đen nữa.
Thế cỏ.
Ăn nhiều lắm. Thấy lúc mà mày ăn thì bọn chị cũng không ăn.
Không biết cắn đầu mà. Ôi.
Cái chân đen mà em nấu xong rồi nhỡ ấy.
Vâng.
Nó mang một con chip.
Nó hôn chít rất là.
Ui giời.
Đấy. Tôi cho anh mở nó hôn được cái. Không nghịch nữa. Cầm con một.
Hôm nay chị anh mà dậy sớm gọi em đi làm sớm nữa nha.
Mai chị gọi anh đi nhà.
Thế sáng hôm nay chị gọi dậy sớm.
Sáng nay không, ta tự dậy mà. Ta dậy hôm nay ta tự biết dậy sớm. Nhưng mà sao ta vẫn đi muộn. 8:15 ta mới ở đây.
Đấy anh thấy đợt cấp chưa? Đấy, chỉ cần cái này thôi cái này.
Ui.
Dí một trứng hút ti.
Nhưng mà đánh bỏ năm bố mẹ đánh bỏ đây rồi.
Chỉ đợi tại ai nữa nhỉ?
Đi rồi là đi uống nước.
Ok, cái đầu tiên nhá. Đây.
Đi rồi ăn nó để nào. Uống nước. Nước cơ.
Nước.
Tất mùi lá nếp thạch đó.
Chưa đi. Chưa.
Mùi hăng quá nhỉ.
Chưa.
Nhưng mà cái đất thì ở đâu rồi? Đánh bỏ nhiều thế.
Nhưng mà lúc này em vào tiền chả?
quay đấy.
Không bao giờ.